The resignation letter sat on James's desk like a bad joke. He didn't bother opening it. He already knew what it said. They always said the same thing, just dressed up in different words. This was number 8. 8 nannies in 3 months. At this rate, he'd run out of childcare agencies before Christmas. A loud thud echoed from upstairs, followed by the sound of breaking glass. Then came the giggles. 3 distinct voices, perfectly in sync like they'd rehearsed it. James closed his eyes and counted to 10. It didn't help. His 5-year-old triplets were at it again. Mia, Noah, and Lily. 3 kids who looked like angels but acted like tiny criminals with a vendetta against anyone trying to take care of them. He pushed back from his desk and headed upstairs, already dreading what he'd find. The marble staircase of his penthouse gleamed under the chandelier lights. Everything in this place screamed money. The art on the walls cost more than most people made in a year. The furniture came from Italy. The view of the city stretched out for miles through floor-to-ceiling windows, but none of it mattered. Because his kids were miserable and he had no idea how to fix it. When he reached the hallway outside their playroom, James stopped. Something crunched under his shoe. He looked down. Cereal. The entire hallway floor was covered in cereal. And not just scattered. This was intentional. They'd created a pattern, spelling out the words "no more nannies" in colorful loops and flakes. "You've got to be kidding me," he muttered. "We used 4 boxes. Noah's voice called out proudly from inside the playroom. "It took us almost an hour." James stepped carefully through the cereal minefield and pushed open the playroom door. His 3 children sat in a row on the carpet, hands folded in their laps, looking up at him with identical expressions of fake innocence. Behind them, what used to be a lamp lay in pieces on the hardwood floor. "Want to explain?" James asked, keeping his voice level. Mia spoke first. She always did. She was the leader of their little rebellion. "The lamp fell." "Lamps don't just fall, Mia." "This one did," Lily chimed in, nodding seriously. "It was very clumsy," Noah added. "We told it to be careful, but it didn't listen." James rubbed his temples. 2 years ago, before the accident, the kids had been normal. Happy. They'd had the occasional tantrum, sure, but nothing like this. Now they were like a tiny gang, working together to destroy everything good in their lives. "Where's Miss Catherine?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. "She left," all 3 said in unison. "What did you do?" The triplets looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. Finally, Mia shrugged. "We might have told her that Dad said she smelled like old cheese, and that her cooking tasted like dog food," Noah added. "And that her face looked mean," Lily finished. James sighed. Miss Catherine had been with them for exactly 9 days. A new record, actually. The previous nanny had quit after 6 hours when the kids locked her in the bathroom and hid all her belongings around the penthouse like some twisted scavenger hunt. "Go to your rooms," James said quietly. "All 3 of you. But Dad, now." They trudged out, stepping over the broken lamp and through their serial message. James heard them whispering as they went down the hall. Probably already planning their next attack. He pulled out his phone and called his assistant. "Please tell me you have good news," he said when Rachel answered. "Define good news," she replied carefully. "Someone. Anyone. I'll take a teenager with babysitting experience at this point." Rachel was quiet for a moment. "I've called everyone, James, every agency within 100 miles. They've all declined. Declined. Your children have developed a reputation." James looked at the cereal on the floor, the broken lamp, the chaos that had become his daily life. "Yeah, I bet they have. There's more," Rachel continued. "I got a call from the Henderson agency. You know, the high-end one we used for Miss Patterson. What did they say? They've blacklisted you. Officially. They said, and I'm quoting here, that your home is a hostile work environment." James actually laughed. It came out bitter and tired. "A hostile work environment. My kids are 5 years old. I know. Look, I have one more option. It's not ideal. At this point, ideal is off the table. What is it? There's a community center across town. They have a bulletin board for odd jobs. I could post something there. Maybe someone needs the money badly enough to take." The doorbell rang at exactly 6 o'clock on Thursday evening. James had been watching the clock for the past hour, half hoping someone would show up, half hoping they wouldn't. He'd spent the day cleaning up cereal, throwing away the broken lamp, and trying to explain to 3 stubborn 5-year-olds why destroying property was not an acceptable form of protest. It hadn't gone well. Now the triplets were supposedly in their rooms doing quiet time, which meant they were probably plotting their next move through the air vents they'd discovered connected all their bedrooms. James walked to the front door and paused with his hand on the handle. He had no idea what to expect. Rachel had posted that ad at the community center 2 days ago. They'd gotten exactly one response. One phone call from a woman who sounded tired and desperate and possibly too good to be true. He opened the door. Standing in the hallway was a woman in her early 30s, wearing jeans and a simple jacket that had seen better days. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail. She had tired eyes but a warm smile. Next to her stood a little girl, maybe 7 or 8, clutching a stuffed rabbit that looked like it had been loved half to death. "Mr. Hartwell? I'm Elena. We spoke on the phone." She shifted a worn backpack on her shoulder. "This is my daughter, Sophia. I hope it's okay that I brought her. I didn't have anyone to watch her tonight." James blinked. The ad hadn't mentioned anything about bringing children to the interview. But then again, the ad had been pretty bare bones. He'd been desperate. "Of course," he said, stepping back to let them in. "Come in." Elena and Sophia walked into the penthouse, and James watched their reactions. Most people who came here for the first time had the same response. Their eyes went wide. They did that thing where they tried not to look impressed but couldn't help themselves. Elena just looked around with a practical eye, like she was assessing the space. Sophia stayed close to her mother, thumb in her mouth, rabbit tucked under her arm. "Nice place," Elena said simply. Then she looked down at Sophia. "Remember what we talked about. Be polite, stay close, and don't touch anything unless someone says it's okay." Sophia nodded solemnly. James led them to the living room. The leather couch probably cost more than Elena's car if she had one. She sat down carefully, pulling Sophia onto her lap. "Can I get you anything? Water, coffee?" James asked. "Water would be great, thank you." He went to the kitchen and returned with 2 glasses of water and a juice box he found in the back of the fridge. He handed the juice box to Sophia, who looked at her mother for permission before taking it. "Thank you," Sophia whispered. James sat across from them. Now that they were here, he realized he had no idea how to conduct this interview. What did you ask someone with no nanny experience who was desperate enough to respond to a sketchy ad? "So," he started, "you said on the phone you were a pediatric nurse?" Elena nodded. "For 6 years. I worked at County General Hospital. Loved it. Was good at it, too. Why did you stop?" She glanced down at Sophia, and something passed across her face. "Pain, maybe. Or just exhaustion. My husband left us about 2 years ago. Just walked out one day. Didn't leave a note, didn't say goodbye. He emptied half our bank account and disappeared." James waited. He knew there was more. "I couldn't do the hospital shifts anymore after that. 12-hour nights, weekends, holidays. I had no one to watch Sophia. My parents are gone. His parents wanted nothing to do with us after he left. So I had to choose between my career and my daughter." She squeezed Sophia gently. "Not really a choice at all. What have you been doing since then?" "Whatever pays the bills. Waitressing, retail, cleaning houses. I worked 3 jobs for a while just to keep our apartment. Then last month, the restaurant I was working at closed down. I've been applying everywhere, but nothing's come through. We're 2 weeks away from losing our place." She said it matter-of-factly without self-pity, just stating the facts. "I'm sorry," James said, and meant it. Elena shrugged. "Life happens. You deal with it. But I saw your ad and I thought maybe this could work. I'm good with kids. I understand them. And I need this job." She paused. "I should be honest, though. I called 3 friends who work at different agencies. Asked if they knew anything about this position. They all told me the same thing." "What's that?" "That your kids are impossible. That they've made 8 nannies quit in 3 months. That they're smart and coordinated and seem determined to stay miserable." Elena looked him straight in the eye. "So I need to know. Is that true?" James appreciated the directness. "Yes, all of it. Why?" "Why what? Why are they like that? Kids don't just turn into tiny terrors for no reason." James felt something catch in his throat. He looked at the family photo on the side table. Rebecca smiling, holding the triplets when they were babies. Back when everything was simple. "My wife died 2 years ago. Car accident. The kids were 3. They've been struggling ever since." Elena's expression softened. "And you? What about me?" Have you been struggling too? No one had asked him that. Not once in 2 years. Everyone asked about the kids, about how they were coping, about therapy and schools and activities. No one asked about James. Yes, he said quietly, every day. Sophia, who had been silent this whole time, suddenly spoke up. My daddy left and didn't come back. Mommy cried a lot. I cried too. Elena hugged her daughter. We did, but we're okay now, aren't we? Sophia nodded against her mother's shoulder. James cleared his throat. Look, I need to be upfront with you too. The job is hard. The kids will test you. They'll try to make you quit. They've gotten very creative about it. One nanny found her car keys frozen in a block of ice. Another got locked in the bathroom for 4 hours. What did you do when that happened? I was at work. I didn't know until I got home. Elena studied him for a long moment. So you're not here much. I run a tech company. It requires travel, long hours. And the kids are raising themselves. It wasn't a question. It was an observation, and it stung because it was true. I provide for them, James said defensively. They have everything they need. Except their dad. The words hung in the air. James wanted to argue, to defend himself, to explain that he was doing his best. But was he? Or was he just hiding from his grief by burying himself in work? Before he could respond, there was a crash from upstairs. Then, giggling, Elena stood up, setting Sophia gently on the couch. Can I go check on them? You don't have the job yet, James pointed out. I know. But kids are kids. They shouldn't be unsupervised after a crash. Without waiting for permission, Elena headed for the stairs. James followed, curious to see how she'd handle this. They found the triplets in the hallway outside their rooms. They'd somehow gotten into the linen closet and pulled out every single towel, sheet, and pillowcase. The hallway looked like a fabric store had exploded. The 3 children froze when they saw Elena. They were clearly expecting their dad, expecting yelling or punishment or disappointment. Elena just looked at the mess, then at them. Wow, that's impressive. Must have taken some real teamwork. Mia narrowed her eyes suspiciously. We're not cleaning it up. Okay, Elena said simply. The triplets looked confused. Okay? Noah repeated. Sure, it's your house. You can live in a mess if you want. Elena sat down right in the middle of the fabric pile, cross-legged. Mind if I sit here, though? I've been on my feet all day. This looks comfortable. Lily, the quietest of the 3, tilted her head. You're weird. Probably, Elena agreed. Most interesting people are. Sophia appeared at the top of the stairs, still clutching her rabbit. She saw the mess and her eyes went wide. But she didn't say anything. Just went and sat next to her mother in the pile of linens. Who's that? Mia asked, pointing at Sophia. My daughter. Sophia, say hi to Mia, Noah, and Lily. Sophia gave a small wave. The triplets stared at her, then at Elena. This clearly wasn't going according to their plan. Adults were supposed to yell, threaten, storm off. They weren't supposed to sit down and make themselves comfortable. Why did you bring a kid? Noah asked. Because she's mine and I go where she goes. We're a team. Elena wrapped an arm around Sophia. Like you 3 are a team, right? I bet you do everything together. The triplets exchanged glances. We do, Mia said cautiously. That's good. Teams are important, especially when things are hard. Elena's voice was gentle but knowing. Sophia and I became a team when her dad left. We only had each other. So we learned to stick together. Our mom died, Lily blurted out suddenly. James, standing in the doorway, tensed. The kids never talked about Rebecca. Never. Therapists had tried. He'd tried. They just shut down. But Elena didn't flinch. She didn't do that thing adults do where they get uncomfortable and change the subject. I know, she said softly. That's really, really hard. The hardest thing in the world. Did your mom die too? Noah asked. She did. When I was 16, cancer. Did it hurt? Yeah, still does sometimes, but less than it used to. Mia sat down in the fabric pile, close but not too close to Elena. We make the nannies leave because they're not her. I get that, Elena said. Nobody can be your mom except your mom. I wouldn't try to be her, but maybe I could be something else, like a friend who helps out. Would that be okay? The triplets were quiet. James could see them thinking it over, weighing whether to trust this stranger who talked to them like they were people instead of problems. Finally, Noah asked, Do you know how to make grilled cheese? Elena smiled. The best grilled cheese you've ever had. Secret ingredient. What's the secret ingredient? Lily asked. Can't tell you until you promise to give me a fair shot. No frozen car keys, no locked bathrooms. Just one real day where you let me try. If I'm terrible, I'll leave on my own. Deal? The triplets looked at each other. More of that silent communication. Deal, Mia said. But we're not calling you anything weird like Miss Elena or whatever. Just Elena is fine. And Sophia can play with us, Lily added, looking at the little girl. If she wants. Sophia looked up at her mother. Elena nodded. Sophia scooted across the fabric pile toward the triplets. I like your rabbit, Lily said. His name is Buttons. He's very old. We have stuffed animals too. Want to see? And just like that, the 4 kids wandered into the playroom together, leaving the adults in the hallway. James stared at Elena. What just happened? She stood up, brushing off her jeans. They needed someone who understands loss, who won't pretend everything is fine or try to replace what they lost. They're angry and sad, and they have every right to be. But underneath all that, they're just kids who want to feel safe again. And you think you can do that? I think I can try. If you let me. James looked into the playroom where his kids were showing Sophia their toys. They were smiling. Actually smiling. When was the last time he'd seen that? The job is yours, he said. If you want it. But I need you to start tomorrow. I have to fly to Tokyo on Saturday for a business meeting. How long will you be gone? 2 weeks. Elena raised her eyebrows. You're leaving for 2 weeks and trusting a stranger you just met with your kids? You're not a stranger. You're someone who made my children smile for the first time in months. That's enough for me. Then I'll take it. But we need to talk about rules, schedules, boundaries. And Sophia stays with me. Of course. She's welcome here. They talked for another hour, working out the details. Elena would move into the guest suite the next day. She'd take care of the triplets while James was gone. In return, she'd get room and board plus a salary that made her eyes go wide when he named the figure. When Elena and Sophia finally left that night, James stood in his quiet penthouse and felt something he hadn't felt in 2 years. Hoped that Elena arrived at 7 in the morning with 2 suitcases, a box of kitchen supplies, and Sophia trailing behind her looking half asleep. James met them at the door, already dressed in his business suit, phone in one hand and coffee in the other. The guest suite is down that hall, last door on the right, he said, pointing. I've got a conference call in 10 minutes, but I wanted to be here when you arrived. Elena nodded, taking in the frantic energy rolling off him. Go, we'll be fine. The kids are still asleep. Usually wake up around 8. There's food in the kitchen, but I should warn you, they're picky eaters. Mia won't eat anything green. Noah refuses bread crusts. Lily only drinks milk from the blue cup, don't ask me why. Got it. Blue cup for Lily. James hesitated at the door to his office. Are you sure about this? It's not too late to change your mind. I'm sure. Now go make your money. We'll handle things here. He disappeared into his office, and Elena heard his voice shift into business mode, confident and commanding, so different from the tired, uncertain father she'd met last night. She showed Sophia to their new room. The guest suite was bigger than their entire apartment. It had a king-sized bed, its own bathroom, and a sitting area with a couch that pulled out into another bed. This is where we're staying? Sophia whispered, eyes wide. For now. Remember what we talked about? This is a job. We're here to help, not to get comfortable. But even as she said it, Elena felt something loosen in her chest. For the first time in 2 years, she wasn't worried about making rent. Wasn't worried about which bill to pay first. Wasn't worried about Sophia going hungry. They unpacked quickly. Elena had learned to live light, to keep everything she owned in 2 suitcases and a box. You never knew when you'd need to move fast. At 8:15, she heard movement upstairs. Footsteps, whispers. The triplets were awake and probably planning their first test. Elena went to the kitchen and started pulling out ingredients. Sophia sat at the counter, coloring in a book she'd brought from home. What are you making, Mama? Sophia asked. Pancakes, but not just any pancakes. 20 minutes later, the triplets appeared in the kitchen doorway. They'd clearly dressed themselves. Mia's shirt was inside out. Noah had his shoes on the wrong feet. Lily was wearing a tutu over her pajamas. They stood there watching Elena suspiciously. Good morning, Elena said cheerfully. Perfect timing. Breakfast is almost ready. We don't eat breakfast, Mia announced. Really? That's interesting. What do you usually do in the morning? Whatever we want. The nannies always try to make us eat, but we don't have to. Elena flipped a pancake. Okay, you don't have to eat. But I made way too much food, so if you change your mind, there's plenty. She set out 4 plates, 1 for Sophia, 3 for the triplets if they wanted them. Then she added the secret ingredient to the pancake batter, the thing that had never failed to win over a picky eater. The smell filled the kitchen, sweet cinnamony with a hint of vanilla. Noah's nose twitched. What's that smell? Pancakes. Family recipe. Lily drifted closer, tutu swishing. They smell good. They taste even better. Sophia, want to show them? Sophia, right on cue, took a huge bite of her pancake and made an exaggerated happy face. So good, Mama. The triplets watched. Elena could see the war happening behind their eyes. They wanted to resist, wanted to prove they couldn't be won over with food, but they were 5 years old and the pancakes smelled amazing. Noah cracked first. He climbed onto a stool and pulled a plate toward him. I'm only trying 1 bite. Mia and Lily followed. They ate in silence, probably trying to figure out their next move. These are good, Lily admitted quietly. The secret ingredient is cinnamon sugar mixed right into the batter, Elena said, plus a little bit of vanilla. My mom used to make them for me when I was your age. Is your mom dead? Noah asked, mouthful of pancake. Noah, Mia hissed. You can't ask people that. It's okay, Elena said. Yes, she died a long time ago. I was 16. Did you miss her? Lily asked every single day. Still do. The kids absorbed this information while they ate. Elena busied herself with cleaning up, giving them space to think. After breakfast, the triplets disappeared upstairs. Elena could hear them in the playroom whispering and plotting. She wasn't worried. Let them plan. She'd dealt with difficult kids before at the hospital. The key was patience and consistency. Around 10, Mia came downstairs alone. Elena, yeah? We want to play outside. Dad never lets us. Why not? He says we can't go without supervision and he's always busy. Elena thought about this. The penthouse had a private terrace, enclosed and safe. Show me the terrace. Mia led her to a set of glass doors off the living room. The terrace was huge, with artificial grass, potted plants, and a ridiculous view of the city. Completely enclosed by glass walls. Perfectly safe, we can play out here, Elena decided. But everyone has to follow the rules. No climbing on the railings, no throwing things. And you listen when I say it's time to come in. The triplets looked at each other in disbelief. Really? Really? Go get your shoes on. They bolted upstairs, actually excited about something. Sophia looked up from her coloring. They're not so bad, Mama. No, baby. They're just hurting. The kids played outside for 2 hours. Elena sat on the terrace with her coffee watching them. They played some complicated game that involved a lot of running and shrieking and laughter. Real laughter. The kind that comes from deep in your belly. Sophia joined in eventually, shy at first, but the triplets included her in their game. They showed her the secret base they'd made behind some planters. Taught her their special handshake. James came out of his office around noon and stopped dead when he heard the laughter. He found Elena on the terrace, all 4 kids playing some kind of tag game. They're outside, he said, like he couldn't quite believe it. The terrace is safe. They needed to burn off energy. They're laughing. Kids usually do when they're having fun. James watched his children play. When was the last time he'd seen this? When was the last time he'd played with them himself? I'm leaving for the airport in an hour, he said. Are you sure you'll be okay? We'll be fine. You have my number if you need anything. He nodded but didn't move. Just kept watching the kids, Mr. Hartwell, Elena said gently. James, please. James, they're going to be okay. I promise. How can you promise that? Because I've been where they are. I know what it's like to lose someone and feel like the world ended. But it didn't end. It just changed. And eventually, you learn to live in the new version of your life. James left for Tokyo that afternoon. The triplets barely noticed. They were too busy teaching Sophia how to build the ultimate blanket fort. The real test came that night at bedtime. We don't go to bed at 8. Mia announced when Elena said it was time to brush teeth. What time do you usually go to bed? Whenever we want. Sometimes midnight. Sometimes we don't sleep at all. Elena sat down on the couch and looked at all 3 of them. Let me ask you something. How do you feel the next day when you stay up all night? Lily shrugged. Tired, grumpy, Noah added. And is that fun? Being tired and grumpy? They didn't answer. Here's what I think, Elena said. I think you stay up late because nobody's paying attention. Because when the nannies gave up and went to bed, you could do whatever you wanted. Am I right? Mia's jaw tightened. Maybe. Well, I'm not going to bed at 8. I'll be awake. We can read stories, talk about your day, whatever you want. But your bodies need sleep to grow strong, so bedtime is 8:30. That's not a punishment. It's taking care of yourself. And if we don't? Noah challenged. Then tomorrow will be harder for you. Not for me. I'll be fine. But you'll be cranky and tired and probably won't enjoy anything. Your choice. It was a gamble, putting the choice on them. But Elena had learned that kids responded better when they felt like they had some control. At 8:30, all 3 triplets were in their pajamas, teeth brushed, tucked into their beds. Elena sat in the chair between their rooms where she could see all 3 doors. Want to hear a story? What kind of story? Lily asked. A true one, about a little girl whose mom died when she was 16. She told them about her mother, about the cancer, the hospitals, the long goodbye. She didn't sugarcoat it or make it pretty. She told them the truth. About how angry she'd been. How she'd pushed away her friends, gotten in trouble at school, tried to hurt herself to distract from the bigger hurt inside. What happened? Mia whispered from her bed. My dad got me help. Took me to someone I could talk to. It took a long time, but eventually I learned that being angry was okay. Being sad was okay. But hurting myself and others wasn't going to bring my mom back. Do you still get sad? Noah asked. Sometimes. On her birthday. On Mother's Day. When something good happens and I wish I could tell her about it. But mostly I remember the good stuff now. The pancakes she made. The way she laughed. The hugs. Our mom gave good hugs, Lily said softly. I bet she did. What else do you remember? And just like that, they started talking. About Rebecca. About how she sang silly songs in the car. How she let them help in the garden. How she read them 3 books every night, even when she was tired. Elena listened. Asked questions, laughed at the funny stories, and let them cry during the sad ones. Sophia had fallen asleep on the floor next to Elena's chair, clutching her rabbit. By 9:30, all 3 triplets were yawning. Can we talk more tomorrow? Mia asked sleepily. Every night if you want. Okay, Elena. Yeah? Thanks for not leaving. Elena's throat tightened. I'm not going anywhere, sweetheart. I promise. She stayed until all 3 were asleep, then carried Sophia to their room and tucked her into the pull-out bed. Her phone buzzed. A text from James. How did it go? Elena smiled and typed back. They're asleep. We talked about their mom. They're going to be okay. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, thank you. Over the next 2 weeks, while James was in Tokyo, Elena established a routine. Breakfast together. Morning playtime, lunch, quiet time with books or coloring. Afternoon activities. Dinner that everyone helped make. Evening playtime, bath time, story time. Bed. The triplets tested her constantly. They refused to clean their rooms. They argued about everything. They tried the old tricks, hiding her keys, making messes, being difficult. But Elena didn't yell. Didn't threaten. Didn't quit. When they refused to clean their rooms, she shrugged and said they'd just have to live in the mess. By day 3, they were sick of stepping on toys and cleaned up themselves. When they argued about dinner, she made what she made and told them they didn't have to eat it. But there wouldn't be anything else until breakfast. They tested her once, refusing to eat. By 8 o'clock, they were sneaking into the kitchen asking for sandwiches. She made them eat what she'd cooked first. They never tried that again. Slowly, something shifted. The triplets started following Sophia around like she was their little sister. They taught her games, shared their toys, included her in everything. They started talking more about Rebecca, happy memories instead of just sad ones. They made a memory book together, drawing pictures of things they remembered. Elena started a feelings jar. Every day, each kid could put in a note about how they felt. Happy, sad, angry, whatever. At dinner, they'd take turns reading them and talking about it. The chaos became calm. The war became peace. When James called on video chat, the kids actually seemed happy to see him. They showed him their memory book, their art projects, told him about the games Elena taught them. He looked different too. Less stressed, more present even through the screen. You're a miracle worker, he told Elena one night after the kids were asleep. I'm not. I'm just someone who sees them for what they are. Scared kids who needed someone to stay. On the day James was supposed to come home, the triplets were nervous. What if he makes Elena leave? Mia worried. He won't, Elena assured them. We have a deal, remember? But when James walked through the door that evening, he found his children had decorated the entire living room with welcome home signs. Elena had helped them bake a cake. Sophia had drawn him a picture. They all sat together for dinner, and for the first time in 2 years, James's penthouse felt like a home. He watched Elena help Lily cut her chicken, listened to her laugh at Noah's joke, saw how she naturally included Sophia in every conversation, and he realized something had changed, not just for his kids, for him too. 3 months passed like water flowing downhill, steady, natural, inevitable. James had expected to come home from Tokyo and find chaos. Instead, he'd found children who smiled, who talked about their feelings, who actually went to bed at a reasonable hour. He'd found a house that felt warm instead of empty, and he'd found Elena. At first, he told himself it was just gratitude. She'd done what 8 other nannies couldn't. She'd reached his kids when he couldn't reach them himself. Of course he was grateful, but gratitude didn't explain why his heart sped up when he heard her laugh. Why he found excuses to come home early from work. Why he actually looked forward to dinner now, not because of the food but because of the conversations around the table. He'd catch himself watching her when she wasn't looking, the way she pushed her hair behind her ear when she was concentrating, how she always seemed to know exactly what to say to diffuse an argument between the kids, the patience in her voice when she explained something for the 10th time. James tried to push the feelings down. She was his employee, his children's caregiver. Getting involved with her would be complicated, messy, probably a terrible idea, but the feelings wouldn't stay buried. One Saturday morning, James woke up early and found Elena already in the kitchen, making coffee. She was wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt, her hair still messy from sleep. She looked beautiful. "Morning," she said, surprised to see him. "You're up early for a weekend." Couldn't sleep. He poured himself a cup of coffee and sat at the counter. "The kids still out?" "Like lights. I wore them out at the park yesterday." Sophia taught the triplets how to climb the big slide. "They must have gone up and down it 50 times, James smiled. "I can't believe how close they've all gotten." "Kids are like that. Give them half a chance and they'll surprise you." Elena leaned against the counter, studying him. "You look tired. Everything okay at work?" "Work's fine. Great, actually. That Tokyo deal went through. We're expanding into 3 new markets. So why do you look like you haven't slept in a week?" James hesitated. The honest answer was because he'd been lying awake thinking about her. About how she'd changed everything. About how empty his life had been before she showed up. "Just a lot on my mind," he said instead. Elena nodded, but her eyes said she knew there was more. She always seemed to know. "You know what you need," she said. "A day off. When's the last time you did something just for fun?" James thought about it. Before Rebecca died, they used to have date nights. Museums, restaurants, walks through the city. After she was gone, fun had seemed impossible. "Wrong somehow, I don't remember," he admitted. "That's sad." Elena refilled her coffee. "You know what's on my list of things to do before I'm too old to enjoy them? The aquarium. I haven't been since I was a kid. Sophia's been begging to go, but tickets are expensive and I kept putting it off." "We should take the kids," James said without thinking. "All of us today." Elena raised her eyebrows. "Really? Why not? It's Saturday. The weather's nice. The kids would love it." "The kids, huh?" There was something teasing in her voice, but also something softer. "Okay. Yeah, let's do it." 2 hours later, they were all piled into James's SUV heading to the aquarium. The triplets were bouncing with excitement in the back seat. Sophia sat in the middle, holding hands with Lily on one side and Mia on the other. James drove and Elena sat in the passenger seat, her window down, singing along badly to the radio. The kids joined in, all of them off-key and loud and perfect. When was the last time James had felt this light? This normal? The aquarium was crowded, full of families and screaming kids and the smell of popcorn and salt water. They moved through the exhibits as a unit. James found himself naturally gravitating toward Elena's side, while the kids ran ahead to press their faces against the glass. "Look at that one," Noah shouted, pointing at a huge sea turtle gliding past. "He's so old," Lily breathed. "Do you think he has kids?" "Probably grandkids by now," Elena said. "Sea turtles can live to be over 100 years old." "That's older than Dad," Mia said seriously. James laughed. "Thanks, kid. I'm 35, not ancient." They watched the sea turtle together, The kids firing off questions. Elena answering the ones she knew and making up funny answers for the ones she didn't. At the touch tank, Sophia was too nervous to put her hand in the water. "What if they bite?" she whispered. "They won't bite," Elena assured her. "But you don't have to touch them if you don't want to." James watched as Mia took Sophia's hand. "I'll go first, then you'll see it's okay." Mia touched a starfish, squealed, then laughed. "It's weird and bumpy. Try it, Sophia." Slowly, Sophia reached out and touched it. Her face lit up. "It's so cool." Soon all 4 kids were shoulder to shoulder at the tank, taking turns touching everything, helping each other be brave. "They're like a little pack now," James said quietly to Elena. "That's what happens when you give kids stability and love. They flourish." "You did that." "Not me." Elena looked at him. "You're doing it now. Being here. That matters." They grabbed lunch at the aquarium cafe. The kids argued about who saw the coolest fish. Sophia insisted it was the jellyfish. The triplets were divided between the shark and the octopus. James realized he was having fun. Real, actual fun. And it wasn't about the fish or the exhibits. It was about the people around the table. This weird little family they'd accidentally created. After lunch, they found a quiet spot near the big ocean tank, where massive fish swam in lazy circles behind the glass. Elena sat on a bench, Sophia curled up next to her, half asleep from all the excitement. The triplets flopped down on the floor in front of the tank, mesmerized. James sat next to Elena. Their shoulders touched. Neither of them moved away. "Thank you for this," Elena said softly. "Sophia's going to remember this day forever. So will they." James nodded toward the triplets. "So will I." Elena turned to look at him. They were close enough that he could see the flecks of gold in her brown eyes. Close enough that if he leaned in just a little, "James," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah? This thing between us. We should probably talk about it," his heart hammered. "What thing?" She gave him a look. "Don't play dumb. You're a smart guy. You know what I'm talking about." He did. Of course he did. "It's complicated. Everything's complicated. Doesn't mean we ignore it. You work for me. You take care of my kids. If this becomes something and it doesn't work out, the kids get hurt," Elena finished. "I know. I've thought about it too. A lot. Late at night when I probably should be sleeping. So what do we do?" Elena was quiet for a moment, watching Sophia sleep against her shoulder. "I don't know. But I know I feel something when I'm around you. Something I haven't felt since my husband left. Maybe even before that, if I'm being honest. He and I were wrong for each other from the start. I just didn't want to admit it. Rebecca and I were right for each other," James said. "But she's gone. And I spent 2 years thinking I'd never feel anything again. That I'd just be a dad and a businessman and that would be enough." He looked at Elena. "Then you showed up and everything changed." "We should be careful," Elena said. "Take it slow." Agreed. "For the kids' sake." "Absolutely." They sat there, shoulders touching, watching the fish swim in circles, both knowing they were already in deeper than they wanted to admit. That night, after the kids were in bed, James found Elena in the kitchen making tea. It had become her routine, a quiet moment at the end of the day before she went to her room. Usually, James said goodnight and went to his own room. Tonight, he stayed. "That was a good day," he said, "the best." Elena smiled. "The kids are already planning our next adventure. Apparently, we need to go to the Science Museum, and the zoo, and something called an escape room, though I have no idea how that would work with 4 kids under 8. We'll figure it out." Elena handed him a cup of tea. Their fingers brushed. The simple touch sent electricity up his arm. "Elena," he started. "I know," she said. "Me too." They stood in the quiet kitchen, drinking tea, not needing to say more. Some things didn't need words. Over the next few weeks, they settled into a new normal. James started coming home earlier. He'd have dinner with everyone, help with bedtime, stick around after the kids were asleep. He and Elena would talk for hours. About everything and nothing. Their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. The life they'd lost and the life they were building. They didn't hide it from the kids, but they didn't announce it either. Just let them see 2 adults who enjoyed each other's company, who laughed together, who worked as a team. The triplets noticed, of course. Kids always noticed. "Are you and Elena going to get married?" Mia asked one night out of the blue during dinner. James nearly choked on his water. "What, like in the movies, when the dad and the nanny fall in love and get married? We're not, James started, then stopped. What were they, friends? More than friends? He honestly didn't know. Elena stepped in smoothly. Your dad and I are friends. Good friends. Is that okay with you? Puss. I guess, Mia said, but she was smiling. Sophia said her mom smiles more now. She thinks it's because of Dad. Sophia talks too much, Elena said, but she was smiling too. Later, when the kids were asleep, Elena found James on the terrace. The city lights spread out below them like stars. Sorry about the marriage question, she said. Mia's nothing if not direct. She gets that from me. James turned to face her. Would it be so terrible? If we did, I don't know. Explore this? Explore what exactly? Us, whatever this is between us. Elena stepped closer. You mean dating? Like actual dating? If you want to call it that. Though dating seems like a weird word when we already live together and raise 4 kids as a team. She laughed. Fair point. So what did you have in mind? Dinner, just the 2 of us. There's a restaurant downtown I've been wanting to try. We could get a babysitter for one night. A babysitter? For the kids who terrorized 8 nannies? They're better now. Thanks to you. I'm sure we could find someone for a few hours. Elena considered it. Okay, yes, let's do it. But if they traumatize the babysitter, you're explaining it to the agency. Their first real date was the following Saturday. James booked a table at an upscale Italian place. Elena wore a dress she'd bought years ago and never had occasion to wear. James wore a suit but lost the tie in the car. They talked through appetizers, main courses, dessert. The conversation flowed like it always did between them, easy and natural. But there was something new underneath it. An awareness. A possibility. Can I ask you something? Elena said over coffee. Anything. Do you still love her? Rebecca? James didn't flinch from the question. Yes, I'll always love her. She was my wife, the mother of my children. But she's gone. And I've learned that you can love someone you lost and still be open to loving someone new. They're not the same love, but they're both real. Elena nodded. My ex-husband, I don't love him. I'm not sure I ever really did. We were young and stupid and thought that was enough. When he left, it hurt, but more because of what it meant for Sophia than because I missed him. She looked at James. This is different. You're different. This scares me because I actually care. It scares me too, James admitted. But I'm tired of being scared. Tired of living half a life. He reached across the table and took her hand. She didn't pull away. When they got home, the babysitter reported that the kids had been angels. They'd played games, eaten dinner without complaint, and gone to bed on time. Told you they were better, James said after paying the sitter triple her usual rate. Elena checked on all 4 kids. They were fast asleep, Sophia in her pull-out bed, the triplets in their rooms, all peaceful. She found James in the living room. They're out cold. Good. They stood there, suddenly awkward. The evening had gone well. Too well, maybe. Now what? I should probably go to bed, Elena said. Yeah, me too. Neither of them moved. Or, James said carefully, we could watch a movie. Like normal people who just got back from a date. Elena smiled. Like normal people, I can do that. They settled on the couch, a respectable distance between them at first. But halfway through the movie, Elena's head found its way to James's shoulder. His arm wrapped around her shoulders. It felt right, like coming home after a long journey. When the movie ended, Elena didn't move. This is nice, she murmured. It is. We're really doing this, aren't we? Taking this chance. If you want to. Elena lifted her head to look at him. I want to. But we have to promise each other something. If this doesn't work, we don't let it hurt the kids. We figure out how to make it work for them no matter what. I promise. She kissed him then, soft and sweet and full of possibility. When they finally said goodnight, James went to his room feeling lighter than he had in years. In the guest suite, Elena climbed into bed next to Sophia and whispered a thank you to whoever was listening. For second chances. For unexpected love. For the family they were becoming. In the morning, the kids found them making breakfast together, laughing and comfortable. And if anyone noticed that things had shifted, that something had changed, nobody said anything. They didn't need to. Some things were just understood. 6 months after Elena knocked on James's door, everything had changed. The penthouse that used to feel like a cold museum now echoed with laughter and life. The kids who used to terrorize nannies now worked together to set the table for dinner. The man who used to hide in his office now came home early to play board games. But change, even good change, wasn't always easy. It was a Tuesday evening when Mia asked the question that had been building for weeks. They were all in the living room. James and Elena sat on the couch, reviewing Sophia's homework. The triplets were building something complicated with blocks. Everything felt normal, comfortable, right? Elena, Mia said suddenly, her voice small. Are you going to leave? The room went silent. Even Noah and Lily stopped building to look at their sister. Elena set down Sophia's homework and turned to face Mia. Why would you think that? Because everyone leaves. Mia's eyes were shiny with unshed tears. Mommy left. All the nannies left. Sophia's dad left. Everyone always leaves. James started to speak, but Elena held up a hand. This needed to come from her. She got down on the floor, sitting cross-legged in front of Mia. Come here, sweetheart. Mia crawled into her lap, even though she was getting too big for it. Elena wrapped her arms around her. I'm not going anywhere, Elena said firmly. You want to know how I know that? Because I love you, all three of you, and Sophia and your dad. This is my home now. You're my family, and families stick together. But what if you get mad at us? Noah asked, his voice wobbling. What if we do something bad? Then I'll be mad for a little bit, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll move on. That's what families do. They don't leave just because things get hard. Promise? Lily whispered. I promise. And I don't break my promises. Ask Sophia. Sophia nodded seriously. She never does. When she promises something, she means it. Mia buried her face in Elena's shoulder. I don't want you to go. I love you. I love you too, baby. So much. One by one, Noah and Lily joined the hug. Then Sophia climbed in too. They sat there in a pile of kids and love and healing, and James felt his throat get tight. Later that night, after the kids were finally asleep, James found Elena on the terrace. She was wrapped in a blanket, staring out at the city lights. Hey, he said softly. You okay? Yeah, just thinking. He sat down next to her. About what Mia said? About all of it. 6 months ago, Sophia and I were 2 weeks from being homeless. I was working dead-end jobs, barely keeping our heads above water. Now look at us. Living in a penthouse. Kids who feel like mine, you. She turned to look at him. It feels too good. Like it can't possibly last. Why can't it last? Because good things don't happen to people like me. I'm the one who gets left, who struggles, who barely makes it through. James took her hand. Maybe you're not that person anymore. Maybe you're the person who saves broken families, who makes miracles happen with pancakes and patience, who teaches kids that it's okay to feel things. I'm not a miracle worker, James. You are to us. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I meant what I said to Mia. This is my home now. You're my family. But sometimes I get scared that I'll wake up and it'll all be gone. I get scared too, James admitted. I'm scared I'll mess this up somehow. That I'll let you down. That I'm not good enough for you. You're more than good enough. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, just being together. I want to ask you something, James said eventually. And if it's too soon or too much, just say so. No pressure. Elena sat up, suddenly nervous. Okay. Move into the master bedroom with me. She blinked. What? You've been in the guest suite for 6 months. Sophia too. But this is your home. I want you in my room, in my bed, in my life, officially. Not as the nanny, as my partner. James, I know it's fast. I know it's complicated. But I love you, Elena. I'm in love with you. Have been for months now. And I don't want to waste any more time pretending this is just a job or a convenience. This is real. You're real. We're real. Elena's eyes filled with tears. I love you too. So much it scares me sometimes. So what do you say? Will you take that leap with me? She kissed him, soft and deep and full of promise. Yes, yes, absolutely yes. They told the kids the next morning at breakfast. So Elena and Sophia are staying? Mia asked, just to be clear. Forever, James confirmed. If that's okay with everyone. The triplets erupted in cheers. Sophia grinned so wide her face looked like it might split. Does this mean Sophia is our sister now? Lily asked. If you want her to be, Elena said. We want. All 3 triplets shouted at once. Sophia looked at her mother, wonder in her eyes. I have sisters? And a brother? Looks like it, baby. The kids immediately started planning. They wanted Sophia to have her own room. decorated how she wanted. They wanted family game nights and movie nights and pizza nights. They wanted to make it official. James and Elena let them plan and dream. This was their family now. All of them together. Over the next few months, life settled into a beautiful rhythm. Elena moved into the master bedroom. Sophia got her own room, painted purple with glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. The kids rotated who got to sleep in whose room on weekends, usually ending up in a pile of sleeping bags in the playroom. James started leaving work at 5 instead of 8. He coached Noah's soccer team,